Hello and welcome to this video where we will be doing another GCP lab. We're going to be doing pivot through service accounts using dangerous permissions. So here's the lab right here. And right off the bat, we got some resources to download. So let's go ahead and download that. It's like a zip file. I wonder if it has logs. So if it does have logs, that is the end of this video. No, I'm just kidding. Amazing. So we got a service account JSON file. So we're dealing with an assumed breach. Let's go ahead and copy this JSON to our virtual machine. Staging is the service account name. And looks like the project name is grproj4. Let's go ahead and copy this and see what permissions we got on this service account. Now, as always, I'm going to be naming this file the name of the actual service account for organizational purposes. All right. Go ahead and authenticate. JSON. There we go. Okay. See if we can access some buckets or something. Wait, let's go ahead and set the project. All right, looks like we might have set it from a different lab already. Or not. gcloud config list. Okay, perfect. We got the project set and the service account set. Let's go ahead and see what permissions we have using GCP's. SA credentials path. Now, if you're not familiar with GCP's, I'll go ahead and check out the GitHub for you guys in case you don't have it right after I get this scan up and running. So this scan is going to start now, and it's going to find me all the permissions through brute forcing through the brute forcing mechanism that's still not fixed or solved by Google. So by doing this, we pretty much check for every single permission that we could possibly have, and through this mechanic, we're able to find the permissions that we have. So if you don't have this Cloud Peas, let me go ahead and show you it on GitHub. I just search Cloud Peas with GitHub on Google. Right here, you can get it from here. Just clone this repository into your virtual machine, and the installation process is quite simple. It also gives you options to scan all three: Azure, AWS, and GCP. So it'll be great for your cloud pen testing service. All right, let's go back over here. Okay, so whilst this is running, there's also one tool that I want to use that I very much like to use for the sake of situational awareness. which is this tool right here, GCP IAM Privilege Escalation. Now, this is another tool on GitHub made by Rhino Security. And basically what it does is it provides us with a suite of different exploit scripts, as you can see here, updating roles, service account key creations, etc. But it also has some amazing privilege escalation scanning potential. So if we run these bad boys, hopefully if we have permissions to do so, then I'll show you. Let's go ahead and check out this tool. So it needs an access token. So I'm going to have to print an access token. Now I printed the access token of the compromised SA that we have. So let me go ahead and plug it in here. Ooh, unfortunately, we don't have the permissions required for this tool to run adequately. Well, that's that. Let's see if we've brute forced any permissions here on our GCPs. Enumerate IAM policies. Ooh, not many permissions for us to utilize. Looks like we barely got any permissions at all, other than the fact that we can enumerate the project's policies. Okay, well, in that case, let's go ahead and utilize this permission that we have, resource manager projects get IAM policies. And as it says right here, we can abuse it by enumerating IAM policies for privilege escalation. So let's go ahead and check it out. They gave us the command as well. Okay. Lots of roles here for us to enumerate, including our own service account, the compromised service account that we have, having the role staging 2. So let's go ahead and check out if we can describe this role. All right, so unfortunately, we don't have the permissions to describe this role. Let's see if we can get some more information from these service accounts that we actually can see right here. Platform, middleware, payments, anymore, SQL 42, analytics. These are all service accounts that we can possibly check to brute force the permissions of and see if we have any control over or in any way. So we're going to go ahead and be checking the we're going to go ahead and be checking if there are any delegation permissions over these service accounts by or for our compromised service account. So I'm going to follow this 3-step process. Firstly, I'm going to gather all of the service accounts from the project bindings into one file. Now, all of this bash command did was basically utilize gcloud to get the bindings that we just got right here, and then filter them through grep and awk and sort in order to make a clean list of all the service accounts. Now, what we can do with these service accounts, although we don't have permissions to enumerate them, if you saw earlier with GCPs, you can basically brute force permissions. So what we're going to do is we're going to brute force any potential delegation-based permissions that our service account has over any of these service accounts. So let me plug this command in and then explain it to you guys. So basically, if we go through this command, we're going to be looping through each of these service accounts. And with each of these service accounts, we're going to check it. What does that mean to check it? We're basically going to use our access token to provide our identity, and then we're going to be checking our identity against any of these permissions that we could potentially have over each of the service accounts that we're looping through. That way, perhaps if we have get access token, meaning we can get the access token of any of these service accounts, it'll say, hey, you have this permission over this service account. Great. So let's go ahead and run this command. Interestingly enough, this service account is not found. Perhaps it was deleted or something. Amazing. So looks like we got a pop over here. SQL 424 is a service account that we have a permission over. We have implicit delegation. So basically, implicit delegation is where you have the permission to use the delegation of the service account that you have implicit delegation over. And what this means is that if this service account, SQL 424, has any delegation permissions, we're going to be able to utilize its delegation permissions through this implicit delegation. Amazing. So with that being the case, imagine that SQL 424 can get the access token of any of these service accounts. So with that being the case, let's go ahead and utilize our delegation permissions over it to check if it does. All right, let me copy this command and explain it to you guys. So as you can see, we got a couple custom for loops and a couple of bash commands, or utilizing bash in order to do these commands. And so I guess it does beg the question, does bash provide a huge potential for GCP penetration testing or cloud penetration testing? And just like all penetration testing and all hacking, bash is going to be a huge resource and asset for you if you choose to learn it. Now, with this command, we're going to be looping through the potential service accounts. We're going to exclude ours, of course, and we're going to exclude the service account SQL 4, or no, we're not going to exclude it. It's right here. But anyways, we're going to loop through these service accounts. And we're going to say, for each of these service accounts, let's go ahead and use our delegation, which is mentioned right here. The delegation that we have over SQL 424, which is the implicit delegation, in order to see if that can provide us with implicit delegation over any of these service accounts, in that we can print the access token for any of these service accounts. So I hope I explained that semi-properly, but basically I'll reiterate. We are checking if our service account has permissions through the implicit delegation that we have over SQL 424 over any of these service accounts. So if SQL 424 can perhaps get the access token of payments, we can get the access token of payments because we have implicit delegation over SQL 424. All right, let's run this command. Looks like we got one token. So amazingly so, all of them are permission denied except for one, and that's the first one, so it's going to be analytics. And let's go ahead and save this token. We just got ourselves an OAuth token. And now we can move laterally to this account. So firstly, I'm going to export this token into a variable. I'm also going to save it to token. And in my other tab, I'm going to be trying to use the PrivX scanner, once again using this token. Unfortunately, we don't have permissions to use it again. However, I'm pretty sure we can use GCPs to enumerate the permissions again. Okay, so instead of the service account credentials file, we're going to be using a token this time. So we specify the token flag and copying this service account access token to supply it to our GCPs command is going to initiate another GCP scan. Now, I know the last one was not as fruitful, but perhaps we can get more information out of this one. Okay, with that being said, let's go ahead and continue this chain to see if perhaps this service account, our newly attained analytics service account, has any permissions over the rest of the service accounts. So let's go ahead and check if how long or how expansive this chain reaches. So if we go ahead and use the same script again, and I'll explain it one more time for you guys as well. Basically, we're going to be looping through the same service account text file that we made, which is just a clean list of all the service accounts. And we're going to be supplying the new token that we just have for this analytics service account. And we're going to check for any of these 4 permissions over the service account. So we're going to check, can we make an access token for it? Can we sign the JWT in the name of that service account? Do we have implicit delegation over any of the service account? Do we have act as, so we can act as any of the service accounts? So let's go ahead and check this out. Not found again. All right. Amazing. So it looks like we got a pop here again. And our new target is platform middleware. So in terms of this service account, we can actually sign a JWT in its name. And if we can sign a JWT in its name, we can sign a JWT and then use that to request an OAuth token, an access token. And if we can get another access token, we've practically moved laterally and could possibly, see if we can access anything through that next account, like resources perhaps, or another delegation-based permission for other service accounts. Amazing. So let's go ahead and create a JWT and sign it. So I have the 3-step commands over here. Firstly, we're going to make a claims.json. And this JSON is quite simple. We're going to specify, the JWT standard, having the ISS, the scope, the AUD, expiration, and the IAT. So let's go ahead and create this JWT. As you can see, we just made it, claims.json. And now the goal is to sign this JWT and then utilize it in order to get an OAuth access token. Go ahead and use this command to sign it. Go ahead and paste it and explain it to you guys. So gcloud IAM service accounts sign JWT. and we're going to specify the claims.json that we want to sign. And then right after it, we're going to specify the signed-jwt.txt file that we're going to output the signed JWT to. And specifying the service account that we're utilizing to sign using the --IAM-account flag. And then finally, we're going to utilize the --accessToken file flag in order to specify the token that we want to run the entire command as. So this is going to specify we want to run as this service account's token. And that's because it has the sign JWT permission over platform middleware. Amazing, it worked. So we just signed this JWT, and we can confirm. As you can see, we have a perfectly signed JWT here. And now let's go ahead and use this in order to request an OAuth access token for platform middleware. All right, so let me go ahead and paste this API curl request and then explain it. So we're basically going to make a post request to OAuth2.googleAPIs and /token. So this endpoint is going to be responsible for producing for us an OAuth access token utilizing our signed JWT. So this conversion is possible and is immensely valuable to us if we can only sign a JWT and then there are no applications to use the JWT on. Well, guess what? You can use this to transfer it over to an OAuth token and get access that way and move laterally. So let's go ahead and do that. Amazing. So we just got our OAuth token, and I'm going to go ahead and save this over to a variable. Token 0. Incredible. So let's go ahead and see if possibly this has permissions to use our privilege escalation scripts. Nope, not enough permissions. All right, then let's go ahead and use GCPs. Okay, so let's fast forward this. Okay, it looks like our GCPs is nearing a finish here. And if we go ahead and check out the permissions, it's like we got a bunch of lethal permissions. Some compute, license code, get policy. It's like we can get the policy of compute images. Compute resource policies, get IAM policies. Oh, looks like we got some secret manager secrets permissions as well. Oh, versions get. This practically means we can actually retrieve secrets from the secret manager. And let's see what else. Yeah, we can list secrets, so there possibly can be some extraction from the secrets manager. Let's go ahead and check it out. gcloud. access token file token 0. Great, so we have two secrets, payments and payment storage. All right, so with that being said, let's go ahead and get the secret of payment storage. All right, GR Stripe. So this is possibly the storage bucket for the payments system. Let's go ahead and get the secret of payments. Amazing, payments. So payments seems to be a set of HMAC keys. So HMAC keys with a name of a bucket means to me that we should be able to access this bucket through gsutil utilizing these HMAC keys. So we're going to go ahead and do that. But before we do so, I just wanted to emphasize that we were able to do this because we used the access token that we just obtained. Now I did this through this flag access token file, and then specifying the file where the token was inserted. So by doing so, I'm practically using like a delegation in order to run all of these commands. All right, so with that being said, let's go ahead and use these HMAC keys. All right, so as you can see here in my playbook, the first step is actually to set pass credentials to gsutils to false, because without setting set pass credentials to gsutils to false, we're going to be using the credentials that are assigned in gcloud. So if we go to gcloud config list, it's going to be using the initial service account of staging in order to see the bucket instead of the HMAC credentials. All right, with that being said, let's go ahead and set the HMAC credentials using gsutil config-a. I thought I just did set it to false. Okay, so let me see what this is about. All right, so let's see if this fixes it. We're going to be moving the backup file to somewhere else and inserting a timestamp into the new location, and then running gsutil again to see if it works. Okay, so that fixed it. So in case you get that problem, you can either remove the backup or just move it. Now I'm going to insert my HMAC keys. Great. Now if we go back and get the name of the storage, gr-stripe. Let's go ahead and see what it has. Amazing. So we actually obtained the flag, unless it's a fake flag. All right, so seems to be a legit flag, and I really hope that you enjoyed this lab. What an incredible maze of IAM permissions that we just went through. And please let me know if you liked the video in the comments below. Hit a like and hit a subscribe button in order to help the video. And thank you very much. With that, I will see you later. Thank you very much.